शंभ शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताल घंटा बाजे बाजे शिव शंकर बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताल बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताल हे माधुर मृदंगा बाजे परम रसाल माधुर 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 बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे माधुर शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर माधुर मृदंग बाजे धैगतान धैगतान धैगतंग बाजे धैगतंग बाजे मृदंग बाजे माधुर बाजे निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल शिव बहु कोटे चंद्राजिने वादन उज्ज्वल कोटे चंद्राजिने वादन शिव बहु कोटे चंद्राजेने वादन उज्ज्वल गौर हरिबो कोटे चंद्राजेने गाला देशे बाना मले कोरे झलमाल गाला देशे झलमल 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 कोरे झलमल 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 कोरे झलमल 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 कोरे झलमल 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 कोरे गौरांगेर गलेर माला झलमल 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 कोरे गौरांगेर गलेर माला झलमल 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 को झलमल 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 कोरे झलमल 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 कोरे निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल शिव शिव सुख नारदा प्रेम गदा गदा सुख नारदा प्रेम गदा शिव शिव सुख ना प्रेमे गदा गदा भगति विनोदा देखे गौरर संपाद भगति विनोदा भगति विनोदा देखे गौरर संपाद भगति विनो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्त वृंद चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौर भक्त वृंद गौरांगा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Haribo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hey, Gaur Hari Bol. Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hey! Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय राम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम सीताराम राजा राम सीताराम जय सीताराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम रघुपति राघव राम कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री निताय गौर सीतानाथ प्रेमानंदी गौर हरि 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 बोल यशोमती नंदन व्रजवर नागर यशोमती नंदन यशोमती नंदन व्रजवर नागर यशोमती नंदन गोकुल रंजन काना गोकुल रंजन काना यशोमती नंदन व्रजवर नागर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल यशोमती नंदन व्रजवर नागर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल गोकुल रंजन काना गोकुल रंजन गोपी प्रण धन मदन मनोहर गोपी प्रण धन मदन मनोहर खाले यदा मन विधाना खाले यदा मन विधाना हमारा हरि नाम हम अविलास हरि नाम हम अविलास Vipina Purandara Navina Nagara Bora Vipina Puran Vamshivadana Suhasa Vamshivadana Hey! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Shikanath Premanandi Gaur Hari 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 Bol.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shata Shishimat, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shata Shishimat, His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Adanta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की द मोस्ट ब्यूटीफुल लॉर्डशिप श्री श्री किशोर किशोरी की परम करुणा द मोस्ट merciful lordship श्री श्री गौर निताय की श्री जगन्नाथ श्री बलदेव श्रीमती सुभद्रा महारानी की श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी ओ ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees ओ ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees ओ ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees ओ ग्लोरीज टू श्री गुरु and श्री गौरंगा.
Hare Krishna. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Dahine Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Shilatanka Nakalaye ito Narasimha parato Narasimha yato yato yami tato Narasimha dahi Narasimha dahi Narasimha Narasimhamadam sharanam prapate Tava kara kamalavare nakam adbhuta shringam dalita hiranyakashipu tano vringa keshavadrita narahari rupa jai jagadisha hare jai jagadisha hare jai jagadisha hare Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Narasimhadev, 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 Jaya Narasimhadev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. भक्ति विघ्न विनाशक नरसिंहदेव भगवान की, भक्तराज प्रहलाद महाराज की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे।
Hare Krishna, everyone. Okay, now repeat after me. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. So tonight's Krishna Fest talk will be given by His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. Haribo! So he'll be here any moment, so that we make the maximum use of time. I'd like all the men to make sure there's enough space. Real estate prices in the Chicago temple are going to go up. If you find a spot, you get it or you lose it. There's ample space here, so please come and fill up. More people are, no, he's going to sit there. And more people are going to come as the evening begins. So we'll do Kirtan in anticipation of Maharaj's arrival. So please move up to near the Vyasasana. There's a lot of space. I'll come back and make announcements afterwards. Hare Krishna. Can you move that side? Huh? Haribol, all the men come forward. Oh, you can sing from there. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare.
So let's all welcome His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj for tonight's program with a loud Haribol. Haribol! It's always wonderful when Maharaj comes. It's festive just by his presence. I'm very grateful that Maharaj you've taken time to come. And it's also Ram Navami festival coming up on Friday, and Maharaj will be here again Friday night. But I believe so. Tomorrow is the divine appearance day of Srila Ramanujacharya, the leader of the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. And there are very fantastic lessons from his life and teachings. And I believe Maharaj will be speaking about Ramanujacharya tonight. So let's all welcome Maharaj to the Vyasasan. Also tonight within our assembly is another Vaishnav visiting us all the way from Russia. I believe his name is Vrajendra Kumar Prabhu. And he is a devotee from Russia for preaching very amazingly, I believe, for over 30 years. And he's here to meet and share his realizations with the Russian community devotees. And so we're very grateful that he came today, and it's a wonderful time to come. We have the association of such wonderful Vaishnavas tonight. So let's give our full attention to their association. The greatest gift to receive from a Vaishnav are the words that he or she has to give us. So we are here in full attention to receive from His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिधि नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशधारिणे वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्तज्ञं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजना। यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Panachari. Jamuna Tira Panachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
I'm very grateful, very honored, and very happy to be with all of you this evening. Thank you. There are limitless opportunities to do things in the great city of Chicago. And of all of the choices you have come here. Thank you very much. How we utilize our time is very much what will determine our future, what will determine our lives. A moment lost could never be recovered. Whether it is business managers or religious saints, people agree on this principle that time is precious. Ayur harati vaipungsam, the Bhagavatam tells. With every rising and setting of the sun, we are all one day closer to death. But for one who utilizes their time sincerely to remember the Lord, with every rising and setting of the sun, we are one day closer to eternal life. Could everyone hear? So nice to see you, Amy. There are so many instructions given by philosophers through sacred scriptures, through tradition, of how to best utilize our time. What is the goal of life, and how to progress positively toward that goal. Parikshit Maharaj was a king, and he was given notice that he would die in 7 days. And it was for sure. How did he utilize his time? Put yourself in that condition. You have 7 days to live. He went to the bank of the river Ganges to be in the company of great saintly persons. Satsang. To absorb himself completely in the highest purpose of life. And he asked essential questions, not only in his predicament, but he asked these questions on behalf of all of humanity, for all time. What is the goal of life? There are many religions, many religious scriptures, many philosophers, and so many disputes between them. He wanted to know, what is the essence? What is the true essence and purpose of all Dharma? Dharma means occupation, Dharma means religion. What is the highest occupation for all human beings? And what is the primary duty of a person who is about to die? So in this assembly, the greatest rishis, yogis, saints, philosophers of the whole world were gathered. Because when an emperor is passing his last days, it's really significant. And it's not that they gave, like in many assemblies we have, each saint has 5 minutes to speak. And then I've been in so many of these assemblies. And usually the first one speaks 20 minutes. Then the next one can't present himself as less or herself less than the previous one, so goes 25 minutes. And then when time's up, 2/3 of the people didn't speak. So all of the great sages and rishis, they all came together to select one person to speak for the whole 7 days. Vashishta, Vyasadeva, Narada, Parasara, Bharadwaj, Vishwamitra. They were all there. And they chose a 16-year-old boy whose name was Shukadev, because they believed with his simple and pure heart he could present the very essence of all scriptures. The son of Vyasadeva. And his speech was written down by his own father, and it became the Srimad Bhagavatam. But how to follow these teachings? Mahajano yena gata sabanta. By following in the footsteps of great people, of enlightened people. They set the stage and make it practical in our everyday life. So tomorrow, Nityananda Prabhu just announced, is the appearance day of Sri Ramanujacharya. In fact, it is his 999th birthday. I know this is a fact because he has perhaps 100 million followers even today. And next year in South India, where many of the temples that he established are still there, and his disciplic line is still millions of people, they are celebrating his 1000th birthday. And even little me was invited. And I think everyone's invited, so there's nothing for me to be proud about. But next year is his 1000th birthday. 999 years, and he has millions and millions of followers. And the principles and the ways of devotion that he established by his own example are still the guiding light of so many people. And our own beloved Guru, Srila Prabhupada, so often quotes from his writings. A few years ago, we were in the places established by Ramanujacharya, including his birthplace. And we spoke on his life. And I think we spoke about 4 hours a day for 10 days. But I don't want to do that to you. So I'm just going to select a couple little stories that I believe are very inspiring. And also, we cannot imitate great people, but we could follow in their footsteps. Wisdom is to apply knowledge with a very positive and auspicious spirit. Because when we apply the principles with the right spirit, then we get realization. It doesn't just occupy a place in our mind, because there are computers that can bring up so much data instantly. But computers aren't enlightened. They're not self-realized. They just store and manifest data. So that's what the brain and the mind can do. But when we apply it in the right spirit, then it transforms our hearts. And the transformation of the heart is when the ego is overcome. And the true nature of the Atma, or the soul, is awakened. So Ramanujacharya, a little later in his life, he became the Acharya, or the spiritual teacher, the guru of a whole lineage of followers. This lineage was coming down from Lakshmi Devi through the Alvaras for generations and generations. And although he was the primary acharya, still, he always was in the mood of being a very humble servant of the servant of the servant. And his guru, Yamunacharya, had passed away before he was initiated. So he took formal initiation from Mahapurna. And he gave such love and respect to Mahapurna. And even though he had so many disciples himself, still he would study from Mahapurna. And one day Mahapurna, Ramanujacharya was a sannyasi. That means he was a renounced Swami. And Mahapurna was a family person. He had a wife, he had children, he had a house. So one day, Mahapurna advised Ramanujacharya that there is a sacred mantra that I want to be given to you. But you should receive it from the most qualified person. So go to Gostipurna. He knows the essence of the scriptures and he understands the essence of this mantra, and ask him to give it to you. This is such a beautiful spirit of community where people aren't competing with each other. People are not thinking anything is their own property or anyone is their own property. They're all serving together for the pleasure of their beloved Lord. So at the time, Ramanujacharya was living in Srirangam, where Mahapurna was also staying. And have any of you been to Srirangam? Please raise your hands. Even today, it's the largest temple in all of India. It's quite incredible. And there's thousands and thousands of pilgrims coming every day from all directions. Gostipurna lived, it was a long distance. I think it's about 80 miles away. A place called Tirukotiyur. So Ramanujacharya, with two of his own disciples, Dasarathi and Kuresh, they walked all the way. About 80 miles. They walked all the way there, and he met Gostipurna in his home, in his ashram, and said, my guru, Mahapurna, has requested me to come to you to receive the holy mantra. Gostipurna said that this mantra is very pure, and it cannot be given to anyone whose heart is not completely pure. If there is a tinge of false ego, if there is any inclination for sensory gratification, for followers, for disciples, for prestige, for high knowledge, for yogic siddhis, for liberation, this mantra cannot be given. So let me think about it. Come back later. So Ramanujacharya went all the way back to Srirangam, and he let Gostipurna think about it for some time, and he came all the way back. And very humbly, he bowed down, and Gostipurna said, I'm still thinking about it. Come back another time. He went all the way back. After some days he came. He did this 18 times. And Gostipurna never indicated once that he would give him the mantra. So Ramanuja, he's a very famous person. Usually when you have power and you have position, you expect things from people. This is a great downfall in the path of devotion. This idea of entitlement, that I deserve. Detachment is not about not having things. Detachment is about not loving things, but utilizing things to serve people. And to have humility, to have patience. So after Ramanuja was rejected 18 times, he was thinking, it must be because my heart has so much badness. Because I'm so bad, he's not giving me the mantra. I don't deserve it. And he started to cry. Somebody told Gostipurna how Ramanuja was so humble he was crying. So then Ramanuja came all the way back. And again he asked. And Gostipurna said, because you are so determined, and you're so enthusiastic, and you're so humble, I will give you the mantra. But I've already explained that this mantra is so powerful that anyone who chants it sincerely will be forever liberated from all sufferings and will attain ecstatic love of God. And after the leaving of this body will attain the ultimate state of liberation. But this mantra should not be heard or spoken by anyone who has any materialistic inclinations. And I see that there is no person in the entire world except you that is fit to receive this mantra. It is my order to you. Chant it personally, sincerely, but never disclose it to anyone else in your life. And then he gave Ramanujacharya the mantra. Now, things that come easy are oftentimes taken quite cheaply. Yes? But sometimes when you really have to struggle to get something, you can appreciate its value better. It's a human condition. Sometimes we don't really appreciate another person until they die. We laugh, but it's serious. Then we think, why didn't I appreciate? Why didn't I say this? Why didn't I do this? Why did I say this? Why did I do this? Because we understand the value of our relationship. So Ramanujacharya, he was really hungry for truth. In digestion, without hunger, we can't really assimilate the nutrients of food. But where there's proper hunger, there's the power to digest. So similarly, when there's a hunger for truth, when there's a sense of urgency, we open our hearts, we open our ears, not just as an academic study, not just so that we could show people how much we know, but we feel a real need. So Ramanuja, with all humility, he went back and forth over 80 miles, 18 times by foot. Almost a couple days only in between. And he was willing to do it the rest of his life because he understood the value of this mantra. So when he was given the mantra, his whole body just lit up with happiness. He bowed down to his guru, Gostipurna. And as he was returning to Srirangam, he was thinking of what his guru said. Anyone who chants this mantra will be free of sorrow, will attain the awakening of love of Krishna, Lord Narayan, and will return to the spiritual world after death. And he started to cry. He cried because he was thinking with deep compassion about all living beings who were suffering, who were forgetful of their eternal spiritual nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aham bija pradapita, that I am the father, I am the mother of all living beings. Vidyavanaya sampane brahmane kabhyahastini suni chaiva swapakecha pandita samadarshana. True knowledge is to see every living being with equal vision. How is that possible? It's only real when we understand who we are. Self-realization. When we understand that we're not this body, but we're in this body. We're not this mind, but we're experiencing life through this mind. Because the mind changes, and the body changes, but we remain the witness. From childhood to youth to old age, it's the same me. Who am I? The Bible tells, what profiteth a man who gains the whole world but loses their own eternal soul? Krishna tells in Gita, Yajgyatva napunarmoham evam yashashi bandhava. That when one understands the truth, one sees, Krishna says, that all living beings are in me and are of me and are mine. To love God means to unconditionally love everyone. We see the differences of the bodies and the differences of the minds and the differences of the species only as coverings to the eternal soul. When we know our own soul, then we understand everyone's soul. And that's the liberated state, because the soul, the Atma, is beyond birth and death. So Ramanujacharya was feeling such compassion, paradukha dukhi. An actual saintly person is not just what they call themselves or what particular affiliation they have. An actual enlightened person is one who other people's happiness is my happiness. Other people's suffering is my suffering. That was his mood. It was this experience that was created by his chanting of this mantra. So as he was walking, he was calling out to every person he was walking by, he was saying, I have priceless jewels that I'm going to give freely. Come to the temple. Because there was a main temple in this town of Kotiur. I've been there. It's still there, that temple. And as he was walking, he was just calling out to everyone. And if someone's going to give you priceless jewels, and he seemed really honest, everyone was following him. And then the word spread. And by the time he came to the temple, there were thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and they were all really eager to get jewels from him. So he climbed to the top of the temple. There's a terrace there. And he looked out at everyone with such love, with such compassion, with such brotherly feeling. And he cried. He said, you are all more dear to me than my own life. And I want to give you the greatest of all wealth freely. And he asked if everyone would accept it. And everyone was calling out, yes, yes, we are very eager to accept it. And he said, I'm going to give you a mantra. And whoever chants this mantra, all their innermost desires will be fulfilled. Now please hear carefully, he called out, and repeat after me. And everyone raised their arms like this. And then he called out the mantra. Om Namo Narayanaya. Everyone. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. The sound of this mantra filled the entire atmosphere. And after they chanted it together 3 times, they looked at each other. And they weren't seeing each other as male or female. They weren't seeing each other as high caste or low caste or rich or poor. They were seeing each other as beautiful parts of Krishna, beautiful parts of God. And they were embracing each other and they were so happy. And they all were in line to bow down to Ramanujacharya. They felt that they were no longer in this material world. They were seeing the sky, the sun, the trees. They were seeing each other. They were seeing the insects. They were seeing everything in relation to Krishna or Narayan. They were completely grateful that they had received the ultimate wealth, the awakening of ecstatic love for Krishna from their hearts. Seeing how happy they all were, Ramanuja was feeling so blissful that he wanted to go back and thank his guru for giving him the mantra. So he returned to Gostipurna's ashram and he bowed down. Gostipurna, he told Ramanujacharya minutes before, never tell anyone your whole life. And from his window, he heard thousands of people singing it out loud. And some of the townspeople came and told their guru, Gostipurna, what had happened. He was transcendentally furious. Gostipurna looked at Ramanuja and said, "Get out of this place. I never want to see your impious face again, ever. Get out. You received this mantra with the order not to give it to anyone, and now you have ruined everything by giving it to anyone and everyone. Get out from here." And then he said, because of this offense, you will have to suffer continuous hellish conditions. And when a saint like that says this, it's not like you or me saying it. You know, if someone that you know says, "Go to hell," doesn't mean you're going to go to hell. But if Gostipurna says, "Go to hell," you're going to hell. So Gostipurna was really angry. He says, hellish conditions perpetually for this offense. Get out. And Ramanuja was completely calm. And with folded palms and deep humility, he said, "My dear Guru Maharaj," he said, "I'm sorry. I know that I made a mistake, but still, you told me that anyone who chants this mantra will get love for Narayan, Krishna, and they won't have to suffer. I can't bear seeing other people suffer. If an insignificant little person like me has to suffer hellish conditions perpetually, so that thousands and thousands of people could be happy with Krishna, then I consider it's worth it." When Gostipurna heard that, he started to cry. He embraced Ramanujacharya. He said, "Now I can understand the depth of your compassion. You have truly understood the spirit of this mantra. You have truly understood the purpose of life." He said, "You are a great person." Gostipurna said, "From this day on, you are my guru, and I am your disciple. I'm just a common man." And Ramanujacharya fell to his knees and said, no, all of these thousands of people were all liberated and all benefited only because of you, because you gave this mantra. I am your humble servant forever. And in this way they were embracing and crying, and everything was very nice. So there are many lessons from this story, which I think are included in this story. But what is the spirit of devotion? One time, Krsna was a king, and he used to open the doors of his palace to give charity, anything anyone wanted materially, from sunrise till late at night. But it's a long story. Somehow or other, he started thinking that, I'm becoming proud that I'm giving material things to people. So he gave up his palace, he gave up his kingdom, he gave up everything. And his wife, Andal, was completely just like him. And they just went to live in the forest. And ultimately, they came to Ramanujacharya and lived at Srirangam. So Krsna one day came to Ramanuja and said, please explain to me the essence of the verse in Bhagavad Gita, which is really the essence of bhakti. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha ishamimasuja. This verse is a culmination of the 700 verses of Sri Bhagavad Gita. Krishna tells, abandon all varieties of dharma and just surrender to me, sharanagati. And I shall protect you from all reactions of all immoral or sinful acts. You have nothing to fear. Now we learn the verse and we think we know it. But what is the value? What is the sacredness that we should appreciate about the gifts we're given? In the times of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers, if you wanted a Bhagavad Gita, you had to find someone who had it and copy the whole thing down. There wasn't computer keyboards. There wasn't typewriters. There wasn't even pen and paper. You had to etch it in palm leaves, and you had to just process tree bark into paper, and then get dyes from the earth, from herbs, and make it into ink, and then get some sort of little sharp object like a feather and make... That's how you had to, if you wanted a Bhagavad Gita. So you had to really want one. Now you just order it on Amazon.com and they deliver it to your house. Well, we can get the same benefit ordering it on internet, providing we have the same appreciation of its value. So here's a verse for those who have been close to the Krishna consciousness movement. This is a common verse that we hear. We may have memorized it in our beginning days. How many know this verse? Sarva dharman parityajya. Please raise your hands. So we think we know it. But what is the inner meaning? What is the spirit? It can't be known just by our intellect. We have to utilize our intellect to its full capacity to understand. But ultimately, it's only known through grace. When by the grace of Krishna, by the grace of God, we're given the understanding. And that grace very much comes from people who have received that grace. So Krsna asked his guru Tadvijnanartham sugurum eva abhigachet. Can you please explain this essential verse? And Ramanujacharya wanted him to take it seriously. And he said, you will have to, and he gave him so many different items that he had to follow. He had to live a completely simple life for 1 full year and do all kinds of mantras and tantras and mudras and pujas and like that. And study this verse with him too. And Quraysh said, but this is so important, and death could come to anyone at any time. Padam padam yad vipadam natesham. I don't know if I'm going to live for a whole year. So please, give me another way of understanding this verse. So Ramanujacharya said, all right. You should beg for all your meals door to door, seeing every living being with equal vision and being grateful for whatever you say for 1 month, and completely absorbed yourself in remembering Lord Narayan. So Quraysh did that. And Ramanuja, seeing his sincerity, he explained the verse to him. Now there's like podcasts. You just explain this verse to me. Yes, Leslie. It's on my app. You just that would work too if we really have that appreciation of the value, that humility. So Dasarati, he was the most renowned scholar and speaker of scriptures in all the land. He was really famous. He was coming from a very high Brahmin family with a lineage of scholars and philosophers. And he was the best among anyone. He was a disciple of Ramanuja. He asked Ramanuja, please explain the meaning of the verse, Sarvadharman Parityasya, as you did to Quraysh. Now, it's not that the same medicine applies to everyone. He saw in Quraysh total humility. Ramanuja saw in Dasarati perhaps 95% humility, but because he was such a famous orator and such a profoundly gifted scholar, and he was coming from such an esteemed, aristocratic Brahmin family, there was some pride in his heart. And he couldn't really understand the verse until that was removed. So Ramanuja told him, you should go to Tirukotiyur, where my guru, Gosti Purna, is. And you should learn from him. He went to Gosti Purna. And we already have a little sample of Gosti Purna's teaching techniques. So Gosti Purna said, yes, you sit, I will teach you. So he came to Gosti Purna's classes for 6 months. Practically all day, every day, he's listening to the lessons of Gosti Purna. And after 6 months, he asks, will you explain this verse to me? And Gosti Purna said that one is not qualified to understand this if they have any attachment to their fame, to their prestige, to their beauty, to their academic learning, to their influence over other people. These things affect us like a dark cloud of ego that covers the sun. He said, therefore, you're not qualified to hear it. You should go back to your guru Ramanuja and ask him to teach you. Now, a famous scholar like this, if he was just an ordinary person, he said, I think I'm going to get another guru. But no, that didn't even cross his mind. He went back to Ramanuja. And Ramanuja said, so, what? He taught you the mantra? And he said, no. He said, but you were away for 6 months. He said, I listened to classes for 6 months, and then he told me I'm not qualified because I'm too proud, and he told me to come back to you. And he said you would give it to me. Just at that point, a lady, a young lady, her name was Atulai. She came into Ramanuja's little ashram, and she was crying. She was really in a pathetic state of anguish. And she happened to be the daughter of Mahapurna. Mahapurna is one of the gurus of Ramanuja. So Atulai said, Ramanuja said, what's happened to you? And she said, my in-laws, they're so mean to me. She said, I'm living, my husband, my in-laws, and every day my mother-in-law, she makes me walk about 10 kilometers to a well to get water. And I have to go all the way there and then all the way back and then all the way there and all the way back to get enough water for the house. And I'm so tired and the sun is so hot and my body is failing me. And then when I'm home, I have to cook all the time. And once I told my mother-in-law how tired I was, and she started blasting against me. She said, who do you think you are? You want me to hire someone to get the water and do all the cooking so you could just sit around and do nothing? You are simply lazy. Go out and do your service. She said, I tried, but I just can't do it. Emotionally and physically, I'm crushed. So I went to my father, Mahapurna, and I said, please help me. I can't live like this. And you know what he told me? He said, go tell your problems to Ramanuja. So I've come to tell you my problems. And Ramanuja just very naturally replied. He saw Dasarathi. He was the only other person in the room. He was waiting for an answer. He was waiting for an explanation to the verse. Ramanuja said, oh, this Brahmin here, Dasarathi, he will come with you and he will carry all the water and he will do all the cooking. So Dasarathi just accepted it. He didn't argue. He went back with the girl, and there he was every day for weeks and weeks and weeks. He was going back and forth 10 kilometers each way getting water and bringing it back, and then he was doing all the cooking for the family and all the cleaning for the family. No complaints. He was so happy because this was what his guru asked him to do. There was no regret. There was no, why me? There was no, he doesn't understand. He was doing it completely happy and grateful. Because it's not what you're doing, it's who you're doing it for and why you're doing it that brings pleasure to the heart. So he just carried on, carrying the water, doing the cooking, cleaning up, just menial services. And one day, as he was bringing the water back, he came to the middle of the town, and there was a pundit, a scholar, teaching scriptures. And he was speaking with a loud voice, and there was an assembly of people there listening. And when Dasarathi heard what he was saying, and he saw everyone going like this, they were accepting it as truth, but it wasn't truth. He was speaking a very impersonal conception, which was very contrary to the spirit of love and devotion, bhakti. So Dasarathi, out of compassion for everybody, very respectfully, when there was a pause, he pointed out how this was not correct. Oh, that speaker became wild with anger. He started screaming, "Just see how Kali, the age of darkness, has taken over. Who are you to tell me? I am Brahmin, I am scholar, I am pundit, and you are a cook and a water carrier. What right do you have to speak on scriptures in the presence of me?" And he went in a tirade, and everybody was looking at Dasarathi like he was really a villain. And Dasarathi was completely calm and very patient and very respectfully. He explained in detail what he was saying, and he explained the truth. It was so eloquent, so sweet, so poetic, so concise, so deeply based on the knowledge of the scriptures and the philosophy and logic and the saints, that everyone there, they were shocked. Every day we just see you carrying water and sweeping floors and cooking, cutting. It was unbelievable. Everyone bowed down to him. And the pundit, the speaker, when he heard this explanation, he came down from his high position and bowed down to him and said, "I'm sorry. Whatever you're saying is absolutely correct. I was wrong, but you have enlightened me." And he asked, and everyone was asking, how is it possible that a sweeper and a water carrier and a cutter of vegetables could possibly be so learned and so realized? What are you doing? You should be giving lectures. You shouldn't be serving somebody else's mother-in-law. And Dasarathi replied, no, I'm very happy because my guru has told me to do this. And then they understood he was the great, famous Dasarathi. People would travel hundreds and hundreds of miles, thousands of miles to hear him speak when he was giving lectures. What are you doing here? Your guru told you to be here. So all the leaders of the town walked all the way to Srirangam and went to Ramanuja and said, please, he shouldn't be doing this. Dasarati! He's sweeping floors and cleaning floors and water. He doesn't have any false ego. He's genuinely humble. Please let him come back to your ashram. And when Ramanuja heard about Dasarati's character, he was so pleased. He said with the townspeople, I will go with you. And Ramanuja walked all the way to that village. And when he saw Dasarati, Ramanuja embraced him. He said, please come home. And that day he explained to him the inner meaning. Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarvabhatebhyo mokshaye samimash. And he understood it. He realized it. But Ramanuja, he performed this beautiful pastime not only for Dasarati, but for all of us and for everyone. Srila Prabhupada explained that pure devotional service is very rare. Love of God is very rare. But Krishna gives it easily to one who is sincere, one who is serious, and one who has no ulterior motives. And I'll end with one more story. Do I have time, Nitina? Because this clock, I can't see where the hands are. All I see is Krishna playing his flute. Mahapurna. One of his students died. And the student was from the lowest caste. And in India in those days, the caste system had influence. It still does. But Vaishnavism is to understand the soul beyond and to recognize people according to their character, not according to their external features. So Mahapurna performed the last rites for this person. And that became so controversial. Really controversial. All over the town of Srirangam, people were criticizing him. He has broken so many principles. He's a Brahmin. He's a person of such a high order. And he cremated and performed the last rites and did the oblations for a person of the lowest caste. So Ramanuja heard all this criticism. So he went to Mahapurna to understand what happened. We got to when he arrived at Mahapurna's house, he found that all the family members of Mahapurna, because he was a household person, they all rejected him. Considering him fallen, considering him disgraceful, considering that he disgraced the whole family, everyone abandoned him. And Atulai, that girl, who ultimately the mother-in-law understood and treated her very nicely after the Dasarati association. Atulai, his daughter, came because she understood the essence. And she was living with her father. So Ramanuja asked, can you tell me what's happened? And Dasarath said that every living being is a part of Krishna. Mamaivam so jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Every living being is a part of God. And according to our character, according to a person's nature, we offer respect, not according to their physical condition. He said, according to the Dharma Shastras, I have made an offense. But it is said in the scriptures, Mahajano yena katasapanta, that the path of perfection, the way of understanding the essence of all knowledge, is to follow in the footsteps of great souls. Lord Ramchandra, whose appearance day is Friday, we'll be celebrating together. Lord Ramchandra performed the last rites for Jatayu. Jatayu was a bird. Not only was he a bird, he was a vulture. Why? Ramchandra embraced him, offered oblations for him, performed all the ceremonies because of his devotion, because of his love, whatever his body may be. And Yudhisthira Maharaj, he embraced and honored and gave the highest worship to Vidura, who was also of a lower social position. This person was a very sincere devotee of the Lord. And I don't care what anybody says. If Ram will perform the last rites for Jatayu and Yudhisthira for his uncle Vidura, he said, I know how fortunate I am that I could serve such a special person by doing this for him. Ramanuja touched the feet of Mahapurna and said, through example, you are teaching the whole world for all time. What is love? What is devotion? People are so obsessed with Janasya Mohoya Mahamameti, with these ideas of I and mine. I am this body, and whatever is in my possession is mine. And when we think like this, then we become envious or we become jealous if somebody else has more than me. Or we become proud we become arrogant that I have more than you. Whether it's knowledge or wealth or property or skills. And if I'm thinking I'm male and I'm Caucasian, then the propensity is, we see people, if I'm thinking this is me, I'm thinking, male or female, or black or white, or red or yellow or brown. Or I'm Hindu. That means you're Muslim, or you're Christian, or you're Jewish, or you're Jain, or you're Parsi, or you're Buddhist, or you're agnostic, or you're atheist. I'm American. You are Russian. Or I am Indian and you are Pakistani. Everyone is just thinking in terms of I and mine, and there's so much conflict. This is my nation, this is my... And as long as we have this concept, we really can't be good leaders. To understand that I'm an eternal servant of the Supreme. Jivara Swarupoy Krishnara Nityatas. I'm an eternal servant of God. I'm a child of God. I'm a part of God. I love God. When you water the root of the tree, that water extends to every part of the tree. When we love Krishna, when we love the Supreme, who has many names, who has appeared in many ways over history, when we have that love awakened in our heart, then it naturally extends toward everyone. And not only that, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, we see that everything is the property of the Divine Beloved. We are not proprietors. We are caretakers of sacred property. The purpose of religion, the purpose of yoga, the purpose of spirituality is teaching us how to live in such a way that our words, our actions, our thoughts are in harmony with the will of the Supreme Beloved, of Krishna. And what is that will? To live in a spirit of devotion, to live in a spirit of compassion. Samsiddhira Haritoshan. So tomorrow on the 999th appearance day of Ramanuja, perhaps we could remember some of these teachings. Thank you very much. Would you like to chant? Could someone bring harmonium?
This harmonium, doesn't matter. Happy? What? Are you happy? I'm trying to be.
Everyone, please dance. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari. Everybody, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Everyone together, Hare Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Everybody, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, everyone Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Kr Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please raise your arms very high with sincere feeling. Let us chant together and fill the world with the divine, purifying sound vibration of this holy mantra. Everyone together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare. With one voice, with one heart, like a baby child crying out for mother in a time of great need. Let us loudly fill the world with the Maha Mantra. Everyone, 10 million times louder, please. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time, please. Everyone together, raise your arms, close your eyes. Let's cry out for Shri Radharani, Shri Kishore Kishori's infinite grace. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Sri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananti Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Gaur Premanandi. Namaste Narasingaya. Namaste Narasingaya. Ralaradayani. Hiranya Kasipu Daksaya. Silantam Kanikalaye. Ito Nisinga Parato Nisinga. Yato Yato Yamitato Nisinga. Bahir Nirsinga, Hridaye Nirsinga. Narasinga Madhim Saranam Prapadai. Tavakara Kamaladare Nakan Aduta Sringan Talita Hiranya Kasipu Tanu Bringan Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hari Jaya Jagadisha Hari Jaya Jagadisha Hari. Vrishabhadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hari Jaya Jagadisha Hari Jaya Jagadisha Hari Jaya Narsinga Dev, Narsinga Dev, Narsinga Dev, Jaya Narsinga Dev. Jai Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Vanshakhalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patithanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So prasadam is being served upstairs on the third floor. Also, there's a table in the lobby. We will be celebrating Ram Navami this Friday. His Holiness Radhanath Swami will also be giving the class then, so it's take two, twice the fun, twice the class. Also, there are many, many service opportunities available. So if you can kindly stop by the table and see what kind of service we can offer, especially on such an auspicious occasion. Also, they will be able to accept donations for the Ram Navami festival at that table. Hare Krishna.
Little bit, but we need more. Little is a lot. That's double. Wonderful arrangement.
One time I was watching an interview with Islander Prep. He said that Prabhupada sent you a shotgun, Sheila. Do you still have that shotgun?
He sent it to New Vrindavan for me to worship. There were two of them. But then I started traveling and preaching, and they were there for many years.
They're still there.
No, somebody took them.
This is my friend Maya. This is my friend Maya.